Right, let's just get this out of the way, shall we? 5 things that we learned from Manchester City's horrible 2-0 defeat to Wolves. We're going to have to talk about it, so I'm going to face that ugly truth today. But before I do that, I want to say thank you, as ever, to OneFootball for continuing to support and help my channel grow. OneFootball, as you know by now, if you watch this channel and you've not downloaded it yet, what are you waiting for? It's a fantastic app with loads of Manchester City news, loads of scores, loads of transfer gossip, loads of updates and all that kind of stuff, and loads of interesting little tidbits of information from other teams as well. So go download it in the link in the description below. But today we're going to talk about City's very tragic and pretty bad result against Wolves. It was a performance that definitely stung. It was a performance that the more I thought about it, kind of got worse and worse and worse. And what I don't want to do today is dig anyone out individually. I've got no real choice to an extent. Genuinely, it was pretty bad. I'm going to start with the guy who's got a lot of criticism today, Ilkay Gundogan. What I say about Gundogan, I'm going to have this massive caveat at the start, is that I think Gundogan is a good footballer. I think he's a perfectly good footballer at times. I think sometimes he can be very useful. I think sometimes he can be ineffective and passive to the point of insanity. I think he's obviously very technically adept and all that kind of stuff. But what I want to say, what we learned about this in particular, is about David Silva and Ilkay Gundogan cannot play together. If Gundogan's playing alongside De Bruyne or Bernardo, maybe, but I think the problem is the dynamic between those two alongside Roger, which creates a pretty slow midfield. Now, these stats are pretty horrific. Someone's basically pulled the stats together for all the times he's played as an attacking midfielder post-injury, and they're bad. 70% of the time we drop points in general, he has started. He started all 8 of the most recent Premier League defeats, so that's 8 of the last Premier League defeats he has started. Gundogan and Silva starting together equals a 43% win ratio in the last 14 games. We've won 6 games, I think. Basically, 43% win ratio, so less than 7, so just under half. And it's an average of 239 minutes per goal and assist. That's really bad. Like, whichever way you want to paint the pictures, the numbers are there to see. For Manchester City to have any combination of starting lineup that has a 43% win rate is shocking. And that's a really bad rate for Manchester City. And sometimes you can't just ignore those numbers that are in front of you. Yes, he recycles the ball well, and he's very kind of good at doing the whole neat passing stuff, but we need someone who's going to create something for Manchester City. And to put it simply, that isn't Ilkay Gundogan. Gundogan is a good footballer, I've said before, but the thing that frustrates me about him is just his indifference. I really hate passive indifference. Like, the amount of times you just see him kind of coast through a game. Sometimes he can really work when he's in the number 6 position, when he's a little bit deeper and stuff like that, but when he's around that number 8, he simply doesn't. He's not asked to do this, to be fair, but our shape is totally lost because he doesn't get out to the right to link up the likes of whoever's at right back or Riyad Mahrez or wherever, so we lose a lot of threat down that channel, and as a result we become really predictable and everything goes down the left. So we could create this kind of it creates this problem of itself. Like, he doesn't really create much, so they don't bother marking on that side and get really predictable. Gundogan is a problem that's really obvious at times. Like, he's a good player, and Pep is right to say that he's very useful to this team and all that kind of stuff, and I do appreciate his ability, but all I'm going to say is that David Silva and Gundogan should never, ever start together. You can't argue with those very obvious figures that prove that. It's just genuinely bad. Like, a good player, but the drop-off from De Bruyne is just too much. This one is sadly just about personally digging out a player. Like Gundogan, there is circumstances around it, but this one particularly is just about a player being fucking useless and dumb at times. Otamendi, is this the end of Otamendi? His decision making yesterday was diabolical. Truly diabolical. That was a stinker of a performance. Otamendi at times has been great for Manchester City, I cannot deny that. Otamendi at times has been a fantastic servant, he's been really useful, and he's been a lot better than a lot of people give him credit for. He has in general caught up a lot of rashes of his game, and he's improved a little bit, but he seems to be regressing back to the Otamendi that we signed now. We only have to go back to that goal now, and I'll put a screenshot on now as you can see it here. As you can see there now, that is a very, very manageable situation. Otamendi himself personally has somehow managed to turn that into a goal by being an absolute muppet, if we're being totally honest. What he's done there, he's just basically jumped in and committed himself to it. I think the reason he does that is because he's scared of his own lack of pace. So because he doesn't trust his ability to catch up with a marker or anything like that, as a result he tries to commit to something that he can't. That's how he feels that he can control the situation. But instead, if he just kind of jockeys the guy and harries him a little bit and stays with him, Cancelo catches up, and all of a sudden it becomes a very manageable situation. So what he does instead, he jumps in, the ball moves forward a little bit, and then he's got an easy pass over to Traore, and it's a goal. this could be the end of Otamendi. I don't think it'll happen, but we're at the point now where we can't really trust him. He's playing incredibly dumb, and he created problems throughout that game by himself by repeatedly and obviously doing it. The amount of times the commentators or the fans in the ground were thinking, right, this guy's going to jump in here, and it happened. It's dumb, it's stupid, and it's the kind of stuff Guardiola shouldn't stand for. The fair thing we learned is that this team currently lacks a lot of intensity. Like, I feel like when you look at Manchester City at the best, it's all about dynamism, pressing, energy, movement, speed. Where has that all gone? Now, if you look at the midfield three yesterday, and I like Rodri, and I like David Silva, and Gundogan on his own is a good player, and all that kind of stuff, but that was a slow midfield with very little pressing, with very little intensity, and it was very, very easy to mark. They don't move the ball anywhere near as quickly as some of the players in the team. Kevin De Bruyne, for example, when he plays, has a physicality and energy and a driving past people, and De Bruyne does things with speed, he does things with precision, he does things with force and intent. And then Bernardo Silva not playing yesterday was absolutely criminal. Bernardo Silva should be in the team. Kevin De Bruyne isn't there because we need someone with that energy to run at people, or at least just to press and up the ante. Then you got to bear in mind the fact that we obviously haven't got Leroy Sané in the team at the moment, so that's also a pace drop. And then we haven't got basically a midfield supporting that in terms of pace. Before you know it, we've got a team that looks a little bit kind of laboursome. You know, they look like they're not running particularly fast. We've got like a lot of lack of intensity, a lack of desire in the midfield. I don't think any of them don't care to an extent, but I think their game is, by definition, that midfield three it's just not a versatile one. And any team with a little bit of pace and a little bit of heart can outrun those midfielders, and that causes problems. And the obvious thing for me is, I'm going straight to point number 4 here, is that we don't, as much as Pep wants to say this, it doesn't feel like we trust the youth at all. It just doesn't feel like it, does it? Like, it feels like he says we do and all this kind of stuff, but I can't really see a better time to start Phil Foden than in a game like this. I'm genuinely disappointed that he didn't start this. You can say what he wants about him being exceptionally talented. You can say what he wants, all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if he's not playing in a game like this, and I'm sorry, we can't really use tiredness and all that kind of stuff and Wolves' quality. Wolves literally played on Thursday in Turkey and got an injured player and all that kind of stuff. And they have to travel back from Turkey on Thursday. We should be playing Phil Foden in a game like this because the midfielder's crying out for it. Like, it almost felt like the pointless substitution of Zinchenko and all that kind of stuff. What was the point? It just made things worse. The midfield was crying out for energy, crying out for some ideas. Gundogan was totally ineffectual. We weren't harassing, we weren't kind of closing down or anything like that. And also, like, at what point did we just admit and go, Otamendi's not playing well? It's Garcia time. I do agree for a while that Otamendi's seniority will stamp the authorities on it, but like, you know, there has to be a point where we go, we're going to use these guys, because I would rather watch a 17-year-old make that mistake in Howard Bellis than watch a 30, whatever Otamendi is, 32 or something like that, 31, make the same mistake and have no chance of improving on that, because it just feels absolutely futile. Foden should have been playing this game. David Silva, it's meant to be his transition season. I think he started 8 games out of 10 so far this season. If this is his transition season, why are we relying on him so heavily already? He can't be playing every single week. And Guardiola himself has said as well that he can't play every single week. So why is he? I love David Silva. And also Gundogan has played 3 games in a row. It was this game without De Bruyne, it was crying out for a bit of midfield energy. It should have been Phil Foden. Garcia has to be given a shot at some point, because at least he is a defender. At least he's intelligent. And at the moment, we are stinking out defensively. It's really bad. It's frustrating. We need energy. We need life. We need a little bit of spark. And I got the feeling now that Pepper's going to have to come through on these at some point. I'm not going to panic. I know I sound like I'm panicking here. I'm just moaning because I want to moan. Because why not moan sometimes? But sometimes, stuff needs to be done. It needs to be done for everyone's sanity. And finally, the fullback confusion does reign. Like, I was baffled to see Cancelo start at left back. It seemed weird at the time. Like, I thought he did okay. I thought defensively he was pretty poor. Going forward, you can see that he's obviously very good. But I thought the idea was a dumb one, if I'm being honest. It just seemed like a dumb idea. And then it was a dumb idea. Then wasn't that bad. But then it got worse when we changed it and made the idea like even worse. Like, it was just strange throughout. Like, a guy who's not used to the Premier League yet. He wasn't good at defending. So he put a right back out of position. He wasn't used to the good defending in at left back. It felt like that was just a strange choice from Guardiola for a man who's so intelligent. Like, well, Traore is a limited winger, but he's fast and skillful. It's like you're creating the exact set of circumstances that are going to allow Traore to thrive in this position. Having said that, I'm not trying to dig out Cancelo here. I thought when he got forward, he looked pretty good and all that kind of stuff. But it just felt like a strange decision for Guardiola to do that. It's like, why don't we use Angelino, the left back, you know? With the fact we left Zinchenko on the bench, and then we brought Zinchenko on when what we were crying out for actually was maybe a little bit of whiff. And to create chances, we weren't creating anything. And Zinchenko came on and understandably got skinned by Traore's pace, which once again he was never going to be able to track back and get there. Cancelo himself did all right going forward. He did look a bit slow getting back, even being honest, and he was caught jogging a couple of times in the half. But the fullback confusion continues to reign. Obviously, Mendy, we're hoping it's not a serious thing, but it's frustrating watching this team have the same problems repeatedly. That left back slot. Oh, how many square pegs and round holes are we going to put in there? Can we just play a left back there? I like Cancelo, but just play Angelino, or at least play someone who's played there recently, like Zinchenko. Just none of this random square pegs and round hole scenario. It gets frustrating to watch and it causes problems because it doesn't always work. You can get away with it once or twice, but you're not going to get away with it 3, 4, 5, 6 times because it doesn't work that way and it gets very frustrating. At the same time, I want to say I am not trying to tell Pep how to do his job. It's just my opinions, of course. Pep is a fantastic manager, but he's also stubborn. He also has his ways he likes, and he also is quite petulant when he wants to be, understandably, and he feels like he'll do things sometimes just to make a point, and that's fine because you have to accept what comes with his genius is a level of insanity as well, because that is what Guardiola's about. But it doesn't make it any less frustrating because we feel like we're now 8 points behind Liverpool. Yeah, I know people go, it's only October, but we are giving ourselves a huge job. This Liverpool team is not the Liverpool team that it was. This is a better Liverpool team. This is not one that's going to drop points nice and easy. Guys, what do you make of all those points? I'm not trying to... Otamendi deserves to get out. Gundogan is just... It's like Pep's problem, this, I would say. In general, I think there's loads of little things that we can improve on. We need to improve on, but I'm dreading now Palace away. I don't want to use injuries too much because like Wolves were tired and stuff like that. It's just... Yeah, it did make a difference, of course, but that was a performance of lacking direction. And I think Pep had a stinker as well, sadly. Guys, watch my reaction video if you want to from yesterday. Make sure to subscribe, download OneFootball, and I'll see you soon.